What's up, everyone? On this episode, we talk about fear. We address how it's shown up in each of our lives and how we've handled it. This is an exciting one for us because we kind of tap into some parts that have been scary for us. And hopefully for anyone who's going through fear, hopefully this can help you get through it. Come enjoy.
Cheers to you, gents.
Cheers. Beep boop.
Boop. How you guys doing?
Brandon?
Oh man, gratitude came up for me, and Marcus, we talked about you yesterday for a long time, by the way.
Who?
Me and Marcus, Colt. Yeah, Colt.
Oh, shit. That's crazy, dude. I talked about you and Marcus yesterday.
Shut up.
I swear to God. Swear on my life.
There's no way. We were on the phone late last night, and he called me with Willa. He wanted me to FaceTime Willa, and they were feeding the baby. They were feeding Ava. So we were talking for a little bit. But anyway, I was there the day Willa was born. In the hospital, I went to the house to watch the dog. It was a full-blown thing. So there's a lot of attachment behind Willa. But Willa's birthday is coming up on the 17th. Okay. And so we were on FaceTime for a bit, and she started, she's saying full words now. So she'll find a letter in the alphabet and she'll say G, gorilla, Q, quail, P, and I started crying. Literally on the phone. I was like, bruh, stop, turn off the phone, bruh, can't take it. Turn off the phone, bruh. And she's like, dog, this for dog, Brandon. And I was just like, that's my little Willa, so yeah. I think little moments like that have really just been getting to me lately. And so I'm super grateful right now for a lot.
I love that. Well, I can second that. I can follow that right up with some more gratitude. It's interesting. I had another, I don't think we talked about this because it happened after we had talked, and I've just been MIA, as I tend to be all the time that we're not right here doing this. But I had an opportunity to be completely overwhelmed. And I had this moment where I was writing in this new notebook that I got, this daily planner that I got to show you guys because you'll both very much vibe with it. And I was looking down and I was writing what I needed to do for the day. And I was like, today, best case scenario, full. Tomorrow, best case scenario, full. Then I got to see family. I got to do this and that. And then I went, wait a second, aren't you supposed to love this? Isn't that why you're doing this? And I was completely overwhelmed with things that are all within the realm of the career and family and things that I've chosen. And so I had this moment where I became incredibly gracious that I had the ability to spend all of my time on this thing and then to send it to my best friend, Billy, and be like, hey, what do you think about this and this approach to this? And it was this really beautiful time where I went, and we talked about this on the live on Tuesday, but the problem is the process. And learning to accept that, this problem that I have is just the process for me to get to my goals. And if I want the goal and I just why do I want that goal? Is it so that people will see it and go, oh, look at that goal that he achieved. Look at that cool thing. Or do I actually love this thing? And since it was most of it was auditions, it was 15 pages of dialogue that was due within 48 hours. And I was like, And then I was like, wait a second. I now have an excuse to do nothing but this thing that I fucking love to do. And nobody can bother me because I can be like, I got this stuff to do. And also I happen to love it. But it was this moment of being so happy about that. And then similarly, you know, Billy has Harrigan, who is not a newborn, but, you know, he's coming up on what, 1.5 years old. And it's just that coolest thing to see your best friends, like, you know, having babies. John, you talked about that with your old roommates, like them having a family. And it's just this whole thing of being like, what the fuck? So yeah, man, this has been a beautiful week. Plus we're learning a lot. Just personally, we're stretching and growing, I think, as a family. And you know, it's cool. It's a good week.
And that Ann's just not like you with the mustache. I loved it.
I know.
Thank you.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's not her favorite. I also do, I do John's what I call the conquistador, which is just the this and the that, and maybe a little bit here, maybe un petit peu, and she doesn't like that at all. So I'll sneak it in sometimes. I'll like slow, like from here, I'll just trim this down to what it was a couple of days ago, and it'll kind of be there. And as it grows out, she's like, are you doing that fucking thing? Doing that fucking thing, aren't you? It's like Marv in Home Alone. Are you doing that thing? You're doing that thing. I know you're doing that thing. So,
that's amazing. So is it either baby face or beard?
It's either like, I guess if this is baby face.
No. We'll call it beard. This is beard, right? Like,
yeah, no.
This is the beginning.
She doesn't like it clean shaven. Like that's not her.
No jam. Baby face.
No.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So what's the reason?
I have to, like, I had to have a beard for Aladdin. I had to be clean shaven for this close. So like sometimes if it's necessary, and I don't like to be clean shaven because I think she said it best around our wedding. It was, you know, we were in the kind of end of the Pink tour, and I had, for some reason, decided not to shave for 8 straight months. And so I had like a full tilt boogie beard. Like it was, and she was like, you cannot have that for our wedding. And I was like, why? This is who I am. She was like, no, it's not.
That's who I am.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, this is what I am now. Like I had lost all perspective in so many ways that could take us down a whole other path. Next time I have a topic, I'm sure it's going to have to do with that fucking beard. But she was also, I was like, so you want me clean shaven? And she was like, no, that's not you. What are you talking about? Just have some stubble. That's your thing. Like have a short beard. Like what is wrong with you?
What are the extremes?
Yeah. But I had gotten so lost. I mean, that, like I said, we'll go towards that another time. But either way, incredibly grateful. I am in a very happy place and extremely happy to be here with y'all tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Always looking forward to these episodes. I think last weekend's conversation was such a beautiful one. I was talking to a friend last night, and she saw the episode, and she was like, "Wow, that was one of the most like honest, vulnerable like conversations I saw you kind of all really let yourself get there." And it felt like that last week. Walking out of the episode, I was talking to the roommates afterwards, and just was like, "Wow, that felt like such a good episode. Like we are able to share in so many ways." I'm doing good. It's been a week of reflection. A lot of like emotions have been coming up, and I'm putting on this like workshop on Sundays, first time letting myself be seen, like to moderate something. It's like a 2.5 hour thing where I'm like nervous about I'm going to entertain for 2.5 hours, quote unquote. But I'm excited. Like I was actually talking to a friend today, and it's so interesting because there's a certain amount of people I have to get. I still got to fill that up. There's a amount, like a protocol, how they want us to look. And I'm comfortable with it. Like I already know my outline. I know what I'm going to talk about. I'm all that. But I've been so used to in the past waiting till the last minute to do projects that I have this anxiety that shows up. And like this anxiety is showing up because it's almost like, okay, I'm here and the project's almost here. So this is where we show up and we gotta get stressed out. And like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, but I don't need to be stressed out. Like it's good. So it's just interesting allowing certain things to come up and reflecting on where's this showing up from? What is this actually trying to tell me? And does it still serve me? Do I still need this kind of like last second anxiety to give me that final push? Or can I finally let that go? So it's been nice. It's been a very good week of kind of just being super aware and just accepting and kind of surrendering to what is in the moment. It's been nice.
Do you mind if I?
No, go ahead.
Sorry. I feel like Brandon, we're going to go towards the same thing. You go.
No, I'm not. Jon Gorski makes me feel like a shitty friend. Jon Gorski always, when he comes on here, he says, "Yeah, so I was talking to a friend," and then the next episode, "Yeah, so I was talking to a friend," and then this week I talked to a friend, and I'm like, I don't talk to my friends that much.
Yeah, but at the same time, when I feel like you talk to your friends, you're going these deep conversations and having I mean, you come out of like 12 new quotes, 3 new IG lives. You got like all this new stuff from one conversation because we know you went there. We know you went deep. We know that you saw we're able to connect in a way.
Yeah, touche, good sir. Touche.
Yeah, you don't talk to anybody because when you do, it's going to take too long. And you've got work tomorrow. I don't have a job. Like, I'm good. I got time. And I still don't talk to people. I talk to Ange as much as I talk to, as much as Jon talks to everybody else. I talk to
all the people.
2 people. The same amount Jon talks to. Jon's like, I've got a meeting before the refinery. I've got a meeting right after the refinery. I've got a meeting inside the refinery, and I'm like,
I'm actually texting into a meeting.
100%. I'm like, I'm gonna talk to my wife for an hour after this, and we talked for like 2.5 hours before this. I was like, man, I got so much stuff done today. I feel good. I'm so ready. I've got 2.5 hours to the refinery, and then all of a sudden I looked down and was like, I haven't showered. I need a hat. They can't smell me. It's okay. We're good.
We're good.
I remember that. Next time we get an episode, like, Cole, have you showered today?
Have you showered?
From the back. Maybe take a.
By the way, I have to, since you've confessed, I haven't showered either today. So there's that.
There we go.
There we go. 3 of us. I'm saying.
Oh, really?
Okay. You did not put on a silk shirt on a dirty body. That's ridiculous.
I was thinking, I was like, these guys are going to. I came in the hoodie the last 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, I have a feeling they're going to come dressed up. Switched up right before we got on here.
The hair is coiffed.
It's coiffed.
Literally, I did it right before because I was like, all right, this is the episode. I got to get ready. I know they're going to show up.
I bet you below this the silk shirt, there's like sweats. He's
just underneath. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no pants. None of us are wearing pants. That's the truth of it.
Not necessary.
By the way, am I the only one wearing pants? I can change this if we need to. No pants for Colt. Jon, pants?
I plead the fifth upon advice of counsel. I think it's best that you take off the pants. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Get that view count up. Come on.
Do I got the goodies on? I got the good ones on? I have good ones, and then I have like the not so good ones. I have the work underwear.
The workwear.
I have the workwear. And then I have my
diaper. This is cool. All right, cool.
This is not tonight's topic, by the way.
I was gonna say, what's tonight's topic? Is it just how our week was? Because I'm into it. Like, this is working fine for me.
Jon came to visit me. Jon came to see me.
I know, dude. I saw that video. I was like, oh. See, this is the thing, though. You guys think that I'm just like not active in the chat, which is true. But the reason behind it is important. The reason behind it is because the chat blows up around like 8, 9 o'clock y'all's time. And my old ass has been asleep for like at least an hour whenever y'all start texting. And so I had to put it on silent. And then during the day, I turn it off silent. And then sometimes I'm like, no, I got to turn this back on silent. Like, I'm constantly like, oh, cool. No, I can be here for a second. And whenever I text, y'all are like, oh my God. It's just ellipses. And I'm like, where's that 11 o'clock energy? Where's that Oh, Dark 30 energy.
I appreciate this honesty, Colt. I appreciate that.
Hey, it's all out of love,
No.
So I finally got to look at the video of Jon out there, and I was like, this is cool. I'm looking so forward to a project bringing us back out to LA. Hope, long term or even short term, just to like get together and be like, cool, go riding, go, sit in Jon's backyard, do the refinery all it together. Like, how cool would that be? Will it be? So either way,
looking forward to
what's the topic?
Change the energy a little bit. The topic came up because it's actually been asked twice this week to me, and it kind of goes in with the reflection. And the last person to ask me was a woman that we were just talking about masculinity. We were talking about dating in today's world, all these different topics. And she said, "How do guys deal with fear?" I was like, "We deal with fear. How anyone deals with fear?" I was like, "Well, no, because it's like." Aren't most guys taught?
Brandon, I'm so sorry, Jon. Brandon, I feel you, because I almost, when he was like, I'm going to change the topic, I'm going to talk about death.
Yeah,
I was like,
the energy was so high.
There was no way not to bring it to another level. I get it.
Yeah.
I went through this last week, and I looked down, and Brandon was like, "Here's a gift," and I don't think he has another one this week. So let's talk about fear, everybody.
Don't worry. The last 2 minutes, the energy was so high up. I'm like, come on, Jon, think of another topic. Think of another topic. Think of another topic. Don't take it in different directions.
It's like, shit, I don't want to bring everybody down. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that friend who's like, yeah, guys, we're having a good time. We're laughing. Fear, right?
Fear.
Let's talk about our insecurity.
Ooh.
No, because she brought up, she's like, aren't most guys taught not to show fear? Like, they have to be so proud and so like gung-ho. So how do you deal with something that you can't publicly show? And I was like, oh, that's an interesting point. And I'm like, no, we all deal with our fears in different ways, whether we go in therapy, whether we have like conversations like this with other men, our partners, close friends, like we have ways. But she was going deeper in the sense of, how often do we acknowledge a fear that we still have? How often do we actually sit here and like, oh man, this is the fear I've had for months, if not years, and I still have this fear, and I don't really I just have to pass through it. And like, I'll start just to build off this, and it's like, honestly, it's Colt, what you brought up last week is the one thing you want, family. Like, I have that fear in the back of my mind of like, am I gonna have that? Am I gonna have a wife one day? Am I gonna have kids one day? And I deep down know it will happen, but then there's also that little doubt or that little voice that says, but do you know if that's going to happen? And like the whole age thing comes up. It's just like, you're 34 right now. Like, how old are you? Because I always thought back, and I mentioned, I think this on a past call, I always think back to when I have a kid, how old am I going to be when they're 20? And where am I going to be able to go play ball, or am I going to be able to just be as active when that time comes? So it's always kind of been a fear that I've, in a sense, ignored. But she brought an interesting perspective. She's like, how often are you thinking about the fear that you still have? And yeah, great, you're still pushing through it, but you like actually do anything to kind of heal it, or wherever that fear is? How do you get past it? Or you just sit with it and you keep moving forward. You just keep going. And it had me been, again, this week being so reflective, had been pondering this question of being like, oh, I'm going to bring this up to the guys. Like, how do you guys do you have a fear that has been there for a while now, or a recent fear that you've gotten past, and how do you deal with that?
Brandon, do you have a jumping off point?
It's pretty quick. I mean, I didn't text you or tell you yet, Colt. Okay. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. You'll tell me if I did or not. Okay. My dad tested positive for COVID. And so when I heard he tested positive for COVID, I don't think I was ready for the reaction I had internally, right? Because what was I doing? I had just had some really, really like something really amazing happen. And I was in a really good space. And then I looked down at my phone and my cousin had just texted me and was like, hey, Aunt so-and-so just said your dad's quarantining at the house. He's tested positive for COVID. And immediately my mood dropped, like heavy. I'm like, who's taking care of him? He's 60. He has high blood pressure. Like, is this an underlying condition? All these things running through my, and what happens if he fucking dies? And didn't realize this was like a legitimate fear for me that I would lose my dad, losing my aunt 2 or 3 months ago. You know, it's probably further than that, but I lost my aunt, you know, a couple months ago. And so it was like that engine, like somebody hit the start button on that engine again of like death and what death brings, right? So it was like, holy shit, he's never gonna meet my kids. Like, he'll never be at my wedding. Like, we'll never get a chance to bring my mom to North Carolina and go to my grandparents' house and show her. Like, we'll never get to do these things that I want to do with him and what we found again. And that was, and the thing that sucks the most about COVID is most people are dying alone. No one's able to come there and console and comfort because they're contagious still. So if they die at the hospital, and then that's it. Maybe you get to have a funeral, whatever the case may be, but there's no last words. So I called him immediately and, what's up, man? What's up, man? I said, well, fuck, you got COVID. Yeah, man. You know, what do you want me to do? I don't know. I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm just do what I can. Like, is this all you're gonna say to me? Like, is this is it? You know, I'm just watching TV, man. You know, I got sick back on the first and the second, and you know, it is what it is. And in my head, I'm like, this is so fucking him. Like, there's no other way for him to handle COVID than him handling it the way he's handling it. Yeah. And that was the fear for me, you know, and he kind of subsided it by his way of being. And I think we got like, it went from like real serious to me having my first horse. And then that turned into, hey man, hey, my man's on TV. Let me call you back. Like, he was watching some show that he loved and was like, I'm gonna call you back. And I was like, oh, of course, you know, and it helped. But after we got the call, I was still like, he doesn't get his results until he went yesterday to get tested again to see if he's positive. So
he's been quarantining this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, since the first, he said.
All right. Is he asymptomatic, or did he just
get? No, he's got symptoms. He's sick.
Okay.
He's like legitimately sick.
Shit. Man.
So
well,
yeah.
No, I did not. I don't think that was in the group text, and I did not receive that in a separate text.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad to hear that he so far is okay. Hopefully everything's gonna be fine. Hopefully he tests negative and it's just burned out and it's all good. That's scary for sure.
Yeah.
And how he's dealing with that is obviously relative. You know, it's something I can only speak for me on the call, but I mean, it's definitely something I can understand that thing. But how do you feel like you dealt with? Do you feel like his how do I say this? Refine it, Colt. Refine it. How did you deal with your fear in the face of what he was going through? Was his kind of lack of response to it something that helped you get through it?
Hearing his voice made me get through it.
Okay.
That's pretty emotional to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of wasn't ready for that too.
I asked it on purpose. I apologize. It's a big beer, man. It's a fucking bomber over here. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I wasn't. I just knew that when I got the news, I just knew that I wanted to hear his voice one more time. And no matter how he responded in a very Lamont fashion, of nonchalantness of, hey man, I'm a grown man, I'm taking care of me. Like, no, you have fucking COVID. Like, this is not something to treat lightly. It's not like you have a pimple. It's not like you twisted your ankle. Like, you have a deadly virus in you, and your way of going about it is, what am I supposed to do? I said, what do you? I said, what? I said, what did I say to him? I said, who's taking care of you? He said, Postmates.
Come on, somebody. See?
I said, yeah. I said, contactless delivery. That's the one. Leave it at the door,
Do it to it, man.
And so yeah, I mean, we laughed, and I think his way of dealing with sadness and grief is his sense of humor, right? And he knew that I was scared. I told him, I said, dude, I was scared. Like, when they told me this, I was scared. Yeah, I know, man. I know. So I told my mom, and of course my mom is like, I'm gonna go take care of him. And I'm like, don't blow his head up, please. He could be dying, but don't let his last week of life be like, oh, so you might want to come take care of me, huh? Like, I don't need this thing to happen.
Told you. Nope.
I don't need this to
happen.
Lock it up, Mom. Lock it up. Don't, not this man. Not this man. But so yeah, that's how I dealt with it. I wanted to hear his voice, and even though his response was what it was like, we have come such a long way that me calling and with the fear of this being the last time that we talk was massive. It's massive. So that's the fear, and that's how I dealt with it.
Well, shit, we're on the topic, so let's open up. Continue opening up that door.
Yeah.
And John, I gotta say, man, thanks for bringing us not down, but thanks for taking us to a different level. It's up to another level. It feels like it's down just because it's different, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just live in that fucking happy place 24/7. Like, that's not worth anything. However, so Brandon, what you brings up, I think just a continuation. Because I don't know how I deal with fear offhand. I could say a million things. I could throw out a million platitudes and bumper stickers and fucking Instagram quotes, but I don't know genuinely how I deal with it, other than I've done my best ever since I heard about it to follow that thing that I talk about way too much, but that is that important, which is that Jungian idea of that thing you least want to look at. You look there and you will grow the most from that.
Mm.
And specifically with what you're talking about, I grew up, my parents were both police officers. Like, every time, I literally just wrote an email to somebody the other day, which I'll share with you guys off of here, just because it's something that I'm letting it be. So I don't want to share it with too many. I love y'all. I love anybody who's watching this. Thank you so much. But, gotta keep it close to the chest to a degree. But one of the things I was writing about was the fact that my parents left every day as police officers in Atlanta, and I knew every time they left, like, okay, like, you may not come back tonight.
Mm.
I had to accept that very young. And you, as the son of a military mother, like, that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
She's gone for a lot longer. That's a totally different beast. And I remember that, and part of what I wrote in this thing was, I remember, because my dad and I had a thing where I chose to be like, no, I'm good for a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a few years. Like, we're gonna take some time off. And I remember that every time that a call came through, I always was like, shit, this is it. This is that call. And it was funny because when I think I was 8, he had pulled me aside and he said, son, I want to talk to you. He said, you know what I do is dangerous. Yes, sir. He said, all right, man. Brother, I need you to know I'm not gonna call you if something, goes bad. So if I get shot up, I ain't gonna call nobody. He said, I'm hoping somebody will go to my fucking car, get me a bottle of tequila, a cigarette, and I can take my last 5 minutes in peace. And I think this applies really well to the way that your dad, maybe it's the way our parents, our generation, or just the men that raised or didn't, or kind of vis-a-vis raised us in this weird, different way. They deal with things by this, or seem to deal with things by this kind of acknowledgement of, look, like, if it's my time, it's my time. Like, it is what it is. And as he says, and I love this so much, and it's the thing that always made me accept that phone call was going to come. I didn't think it was going to come. When the phone rang, I was like, shit, my dad died. And I thought that for years and years and years, because I was like, it's not him on the phone. It's somebody telling me what happened. And then I was in college, and my stepmom called, and she said, baby, I need to talk to you. I said, okay. I said, what's up? What's up, Mama D? She said, so everything's okay, but your daddy had mouth cancer, and he had gone under surgery, and he had a part of his jaw taken out. He looks fine. He's still very handsome. Everything's fine. He's okay. But we didn't want to call and tell you until we knew he was okay. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I remember where I was walking. I went to college at University of Cincinnati, and I remember where I was walking, like the exact place, what buildings were around. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Did you just say Pop's got like oral cancer? And she was like, well, not anymore. He doesn't have it no more. They cut it out. He's okay. And I was like, okay. I talked to him a couple of, I think, days later, and he was, or I guess weeks later, time kind of runs together. And he said the same thing that he said when she eventually, unfortunately, she had a brain aneurysm, and she held on for a while. And then I went to see her, and it was a whole thing. But over that time, he said the same thing about his oral cancer that he said about when she died. He was like, you couldn't have done anything. Why would I tell you? It's not going to change anything. If you're here worrying about me, it's going to make your life harder. And I think there's an interesting thing with the way that they deal with our fear. How do we deal? I think you're asking a couple of questions, John, which is the long answer to the question, which is, or addendum to the question. I think that you're asking, how do we deal with fear for ourselves, but also how do we deal with fear for others? Right? I talked to Ange tonight, actually, in those 2.5 hours, about how I dealt with my abuse from a really piece of shit stepfather, and didn't tell my mom. And she, we've had a conversation a lot. Like, why didn't you ever say that? Like, why didn't you ever tell anybody? And it was because I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want her to carry that pain. So I carried it. So my fear then built itself out in a different way. I didn't know who to tell that I was terrified that my dad was going to die any day, or that my mom was going to die any day. So, you take some of that in, and then you worry about, well, who else am I going to affect and bother in the meantime? And I think there's a lot of things that happen within those who grew up. I don't want to say in our generation. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but those who grew up within the style that it seems that the three of us did and have connected to. There's something in that where there's like I don't want to bother anybody else with my fear.
With my thing.
I'm just gonna take it. I'm just going to hold it because I can get through it because look what the fuck I got through. You know what I got through? Nah, this isn't going to break me. It's over now. It's not though, is the thing. And that's important, I think, for a lot of guys to realize is that it's not over just because it's not happening anymore. And that fear, it's a lifelong thing if you don't deal with it. If you don't look back in that dark corner, in that cave, it'll take you down. It'll take you down some dark paths because you're used to it. You're used to that darkness, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, shining a light on those things and going, I guess that's my answer. Unintentionally found my way through. Thanks for listening. It's taking a flashlight and going, fuck, I don't want there to be a ghost behind me. I don't want there to be a ghost behind me. I don't want it. But you know there's a ghost behind you because you put you didn't put the ghost there, but the ghost was there and was like, hey, I'm gonna be over here for the rest of your fucking life. And then you were like, nah, it's not there anymore. It couldn't possibly be there. When you turn around and you look at it, you start inspecting and you go, oh, you're staying in that corner, aren't you? Okay. All right. I can see you now. Yeah. Something like that.
I think that's a big component is looking at it and not ignoring it. Like my mom back in November of 2019 got diagnosed with lung cancer. And luckily she needs surgery. It's stage 4, but like they caught it at a good time where all she has to do is just take a pill and it's actually helping. It's like slowing it down and stuff like that. And it's almost like the best case scenario for what they found. But she's so positive. Like she was just telling me last week that she got nominated for the best employee in, I think, Fairfax County Public Schools for 2020. And I'm like, how your first year getting cancer did you get to like not only motivate people, but you inspired people, but you're working hard and all this stuff that you're nominated to be one of the top employees. And she's like, it's all perspective and mindset and everything, and which is great. And I've gotten a lot of that positive mindset from my mom. But I remember telling her, I think she's now gone to therapy 3 or 4 months. And I remember telling her, I was like, you need an outlet. Because it was like, there's fears that you're going to go through that you're not going to share with me. You're not going to share with my brother. You're not going to share with your husband. Because you don't want that fear to fall on their mind or our mind. So you're going to hold on to it. And that will be the thing that hurts you the most. And I was like, having an outlet doesn't necessarily mean you have to tell me everything, but it's like you need some, whether it be a therapist, whether it be a support group, whatever it is, you choose. I don't care, but you just have some kind of outlet to discuss. And I think it's the same thing for us, like whether it be this platform to share what's coming up for us, but shedding light that there is something there, that there's something that we need to look at. And a lot of time, it's like the whole idea of disease, some people say is dis-ease. It's the whole idea that it's not easy. There's something that is causing it to not be easy. And I mean, a lot of times because we're not looking at it and because we're not giving it attention, that makes things even worse than they could be. And I think my mom, and I think coming to that fear is the same thing where it's in the back of my mind, like Brandon was saying earlier. Like my mom told me growing up, she's like, oh, I can't wait to get married. I can't wait to dance with you at your wedding. I can't wait to hold your kids. And like early on, like when she first told me she was diagnosed, like that was my first thought. I was like, oh my God, like am I not gonna be able to dance with her at my wedding? Is she not gonna be able to hold my future kids? She's not gonna meet my future wife. And those fears run in my mind. And I remember it was easy to go down the dark hole of like all these things it could become. And it's good to give it light to look at it, but then also paying attention is like, it's fear, false emotions appearing real. None of this is real yet. And it's just like, we give it power, it can become real. We can bring it to fruition. But at the same time, like, that's one of the reasons like I really lean on therapy. Those times where I get in my mind, I'm like, yo, this is what's coming up about this, like dealing with my mom. Like, she's so positive. Is she just not letting me know? Or is there a fear of like, what's the possibility of the future? I don't know how long she's going to be around, and all these different things. But having the ability to talk about it and discuss, I think, is a big component of facing fears.
No shit. Like hands down, I just think that the conversation. I think that's one of the reasons I'm so thankful that we have the refinery, and the reason that I'll tie this back. I would not have been a part of this with just anybody, and I mean that in the sense that both of you had previously put yourselves out there, and I knew that you were willing to actually talk. I knew that over the course of these seasons, we're going to get into bigger and bigger subjects, and we have. And we've gone deeper and deeper into our personal lives, and we're going even deeper in the future, like we've, kind of already discussed. Like that's the only thing that seems worthwhile is looking at those things and accepting that that's the reality that we're in. And I think it's so cool to think that our fathers would never have imagined this
Yeah.
the way that it's happening.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Mhm.
I dig that because what it makes me do a couple of things. One, regardless of whether it's my children or just the children of, children of the future, as it were, like whether it's the Willas and the Harrigans and the Avas, like whoever it is, somebody's going to be having conversations that blow us away, that are we're just like, how the fuck are you so able to do this? Like,
Yeah.
how cool that, generations from now, the concept of therapy is going to be something you just do.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that you do with your friends. Maybe you take time. Maybe everybody does it. Maybe it's just a general thing. Like I don't know. I think that tempers a lot of my fear.
Mm.
That hope. I've often called myself a hopelessly romantic optimist. I believe everything will work out in my favor until the very moment that it doesn't, in which case I just assume that it's working out in my favor in a way that I can't understand. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that.
yeah, it just, I love, obviously. I love that whole idea of just believing in that. And I mean, shit, my fear is, tied in and indelibly to the thing that I want most in the world, which is I fear so much that, not that we won't be able to have a child, because if that ends up being the case, like I'm not worried about that. It is going to be a hard, like that would be a hard thing, but regardless of adoption or otherwise, Angelina is going to be a fucking insane mom, like so incredibly amazing. And
Yeah.
the work that we've done together, and thanks to these talks, and thanks to the talks I have with Billy, and that I have with my mom and my dad, and that I've like I'm going to be a fucking great dad. I can't wait for that shit. Regardless, however, I constantly worry about providing for my family. Constantly. And the only way for me through that fear, no matter how that family materializes down the line, that is what keeps me up at night. Is this going to pan out? Am I actually able to do this? Am I able to be the man that I want to be? And I can't. And this is where, John, it takes me back to a question I wanted to lob at you, but didn't want to because it would have been indelicate in the middle of your first point. But we say we know. I know that it's going to work out. I don't know. I don't know. I just I I hope. And I can say I have faith in it, and I can say I believe in it. And I don't know though. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know that Angie's gonna love me forever. I don't know that I'm gonna fucking make it out the door tomorrow. I don't know any of that. But I'll be fucked, because I can't say GD anymore, if I will be absolutely fucked if I'm not gonna try all the way to the fucking bank.
Mhm.
And that's how I get through my fear. Every day I wake up and I go, what is on here that I need to edit? What is on here that I can put out into the world? What do I need to be working on? Do I need to go to the gym to keep my lungs up because Broadway's eventually going to come back, or this TV show or this film is going to need something? No, I'm going to do it so that I'm using that, what is it? I feel like you know this, one of you, Socrates, uh, preparation meets opportunity. That's what luck is.
Mhm.
Highly
Yeah.
paraphrasing the original Greek. But like, no, I'm going to be ready for whatever that opportunity is that's going to take me to that, because I did this thing where I worked really, really hard for a lot of years. And then I was like, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm probably, maybe everybody's right. Maybe I'm pretty good. Maybe I don't need to work anymore. And then personally, just on a soul level, I was like, doesn't matter what anybody else says. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That is not happening anymore. I will be there for my family and I will provide somehow. There won't be, like, that's the only way I can face that fear, is by doing everything I can in every moment to work towards that goal, because otherwise I don't mean it. I'm not actually scared of that. I'm just saying it again as a goal to be, or as a fear to be praised for. And I think that people use that. I know I have used a fear just as much to earn sympathy as I do a goal, so that somebody looks at it and goes, "Oh, cool, what a great goal." And maybe that makes me a, not great person, but I did.
I think your friend, her prompt is interesting in a lot of ways, because what we're taught and then the type of men we've grown into, I think, don't like, we may have been taught it, but who we grew into, it's a little bit, we are all acknowledging and facing in some capacity. I don't think any one of us pretends to not be afraid of something and to not have fear around something. And I think that's the difference about what we're trying to do with the refinery and what our goal is. I understand the need for generalized conversations for context purposes, but it's, everything that we talk about is so individual that I've stopped trying to have general conversations on my platform, because every individual is so unique in their experience. And so, I've had conversations say, well, how can women? And then someone will come to me and say, okay, I understand. I will now be more aware of what I present because people listen. If I bring up a topic, people listen. So if I want to be mindful of generalizations, blanket statements, majority things, and this and that, it's not so much, you can't really say a whole sex does this, or you can't really say women do this and men do that. It's really individualized. But what I can say is, people try to teach a sex to behave a certain way, right? Women are taught to be conservative and dress up. And if you don't dress up, or you don't, cover up, you're a slut. And if you're a man and you're met with a bear in the wilderness, you should show the bear who's boss and beat on your chest and roar because you're protecting. But in reality, you're fucking scared to death. These are things that we're taught. We don't teach the women to do that. We teach the men to do that because men are strong and we're building whatever. Those narratives and those things that we are taught do not serve us the way they're intended to, right? Can you find value in them? I'm sure you can, right? There's some very old school traditional things that I was like, yeah, it's kind of, ignorant and it's kind of naive, but shit kind of works if you apply something from it to yourself, right? There's this saying, you got to cowboy up when you're in a saddle and then something goes down. And if you were to hear the term cowboy up, you would think that's just some men being machismo and it's a prideful thing. There's some days in the saddle that what gets me through a moment with my horse is I fucking have to cowboy up. It's not, oh, Smokey Joe. Like, he's not trying to hear that shit. He needs a firm heel to his side and a firm tug of that rein to get some act right. And so in those moments, in those instances, though you would say that that's the old West and that's the old cowboy way, it worked. So I see those things too. And so when it comes to fear, it's really about how can this individual face this circumstance, this particular topic, this particular situation, and not feel weak or not feel less than if they take a different route or if they approach it differently. But more importantly, more than anything, acknowledging the fear is the healthiest choice for anyone. Even if you decide, I'm scared to skydive, I'm going to skydive anyway. You've acknowledged the fear and you respect the fear because you're respecting death, right? I know, John, you said, and I'll stop here soon, but John, I know you were saying you didn't want to bring the mood down, but often fear and death are correlated with a downer. And in reality, they're more life than anything. They're the reason we get up in the morning and Colt says, I'm going to go to the gym because I could die. I need to love Angelina amazingly today because she could die. John, you say, okay, I'm going to go and have this conversation on Clubhouse. I'm going to go to that meeting. I'm going to plan this event because I could die. Like, instead of it being pulling it down, it's lifting up that keeps us going each day because we just don't know. So though fear and death could be a very morbid or a very a buzzkill, if you will, in reality, death is a great driver of man. Death is a thing that creates great people and creates you to see what you're really made of in your gut and in your heart, right? But you have to acknowledge and respect that thing for what it is, because it could kill you and it could take you out. But as long as you acknowledge that, I think whoever that person is going to be just fine.
I just love it. I love it. It's a very, very, I had to make sure, but I mean, it's just we talk unintentionally about a ton of Stoic philosophy on here. And maybe that's because we all probably love it.
In some sense, yeah.
It's very kind of concept, right? One of the 4 Stoic virtues, just acknowledge it. By acknowledging it, I mean, I literally just got an email about this yesterday. By acknowledging it, that's what gives you the power, right? That's what to pretend like it's not going to happen.
That's dangerous. Yeah.
That awareness. The idea of just like you're saying, acknowledging that it exists doesn't mean that you have to have the answer or know what to do next, but at least you're acknowledging it exists, because when you'll decide differently with that.
Yeah.
People who want to be naive to, and that's what's so interesting. Like what my mom went through was such an eye opener for my own health. And like anytime I have a friend that I talk to and I can hear that they're like ignoring their health, they're like, oh, I know I should have gone to the doctor a year ago, but I haven't gone in 3 years. And I'm just like, I will tell people, I'm like, I'm gonna be that annoying friend who's gonna like check in and be like, did you go to the doctor? Like, go check that, whatever it is. Because like I would rather have you mad at me and annoyed with me, knowing that you at least know what's going on with you and you're not wondering what that is and stressing you out. Because as much as it's easy sometimes to be like, oh, I can just deal with the pain, I'll get past it. It's just like, it's a weight that we carry in our mind. Every time you have that little thing, or that little, whether it be in your chest or your arm or whatever it is, but every time you feel a little pain, it's a little reminder that something's wrong. And the more we ignore it, the stress that gets on top of the unknown, whether it's health condition, whether it's a relationship issue, whatever it is, it's just like they're little, like life lets us know, life kind of pokes at us and lets us know, it's like, hey, there's something here you got to look at. Like, you got to decide though, you got to look at this. And eventually life's like, all right, you're not going to make a decision. Now I have to make the decision, and it's not going to be in the way that you wanted it. It's going to actually be in the like pretty shitty way. Whereas if you decided to take it to do something about it, it wouldn't be this bad. But now that I have to get involved, I'm going to teach you a couple extra lessons along the way.
The irony about disease that you talked about, that dis-ease, I mean, whether it's actual disease and medical sickness or not, I mean, that's what problems are. Those things that we don't look at are the things that add up and suddenly become, I mean, you know what? Toss in a second fucking fear. Why not? Like, that concept of holding on to shit becoming something else down the road. That used to scare the fuck out of me. I used to be so worried. That all of the things, that darkness inside of me, those things that I couldn't understand or that I wouldn't understand, that they were going to turn into something down the road. There's a Family Guy joke where in one of the first seasons where I remember, you know, Peter does something insane and ha ha ha, and Lois goes, somebody says, Lois, how do you deal with all of this? And she goes, oh, I just shove it down inside. And she goes, what's the worst that could happen? And then it zooms into her brain, and it's just a little lump. And he's going, I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor, I'm a tumor, and it's that concept, though, of going, wait a second. If we don't deal with this, what are we holding inside? And we don't know. That's the problem. Is there, I took this really cool class in college called Philosophy of Consciousness, Mind, and Will. And it was talking about the difference between, the main focus of the course was talking about the difference between the physical world and the non-physical world, like the mind and the brain, right? Like, you have a brain, but where is your mind? Can you point to it? No. Can you point to your imagination? No. But can you point to the processes that create it? Maybe. I don't know. Like, and they got into this whole, you know, that was really what started my journey into philosophy. But this concept of, wait, what if these things that we can't pinpoint, like fear, like fear, let's stick to fear because that's the topic of tonight. What if those things can physically materialize? What if not dealing with those things does take a form in your body to some degree? That's all the more reason to deal with it. But it's something that for a long time was something that I would just kind of push off. I'd eschew it. I'd be like, nah, no, fuck, that's not a thing. That's not whatever. And now, just in case, I'm like, nah, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to deal with this and be as happy as I can, because I'm going to be as full. I shouldn't say happy. It's the wrong way to say it. As full as I can. I'm going to be as genuine as I can, as filled up as I can, overflowing if possible, because no, otherwise I just don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it.
I mean, I've got a story that's very, I mean, it's really in alignment with this. And maybe I've talked about it on here, maybe I haven't. 2 winters ago, not this, the last winter. One of my biggest fears when I was a kid was that I would get cancer and I would die at like 40, right? But I've always had this fear of like, I'm going to get the call one day and, you know, they're going to say, Mr. Alexander, we found cancer in your body, whatever. So I just did the Movember event, and Movember was talking about how you can check your testicles and all this stuff for cancer, right? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I know my balls pretty well, you know what I'm saying? Everything intact, you know, woo, woo. I'm in the shower.
All three of them. Hey,
right. So I'm in the shower checking them one day, and I was like, that wasn't there before. What the fuck is that? And I am now panicking that I'm like, I've never like really checked my balls, right? Like maybe I'll shave, maybe I'll whatever, but I've never like checked them for something abnormal. So, and I kept having this, what it was is I kept having this throbbing pain. And I was like, what is this throbbing pain? Like, this is uncomfortable. Like, this is like the worst shit ever. So I've got this throbbing pain. Now I'm like, I'm checking myself. And then don't you ever do this. But I went to WebMD.
Like you do.
And
Never do.
And
I've heard some people like, don't ever do it.
yeah, don't ever go to WebMD because it'll confirm whatever your fear is. And they'd be like, you have cancer.
Yeah.
You think you have cancer? Do you have pain? Yes. You got a lump? Yes. Then you, sir, have testicular cancer. Get to a doctor now. So like, I'm not with it. Yeah. So anyway, I take a second before I actually decide to go to the doctor, right? And I kind of think I lived with it. I think after I found the lump, I just was like so stubborn that I would check every day for like 2 or 3 days. I was like, it's still there? Okay, tomorrow it's not going to be there. Fuck, it's still there. God dang. Okay, what am I going to do? So I finally go to the doctor and I cried. I fucking cried like no one's business because I knew that when this doctor, checked my testicles, they were going to tell me, sir, you have cancer and we need to remove it, right? So I get to the hospital, and now that fear that I had when I was a kid, I was like, I was right. I knew the whole time I was going to get the cancer was going to take me out. And what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I don't have a will. Who do I give the dogs to? That's it. I'm like, who do I give the dogs to? And the doctor comes in and he checks me and he says, well, sir, I don't think you have cancer. He says, but I do think you have another condition. And in my head, I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck could it be? Like, I don't have an STD.
A torsion? I'm sorry, I have to ask.
Huh?
Is it a torsion? Nope.
No, I don't know what a torsion is.
Just when they're twisted. Had some friends.
No.
Just because you're a dancer, and I'm assuming you didn't wear a dance belt, so it was the first place that my mind went. I was like, nah.
Yeah. So there are 2 conditions men get, and I had made a choice to be abstinent for a long time. And what they were saying is, if your sperm tube, the tube on your testicle can get inflamed, and the inflammation can cause cysts to grow. So the thing that formed was a cyst. And then on top of that, the throbbing pain that I was feeling was because the tube was engorged and it was inflamed. And so he took x-rays and he showed me what it looked like. And I was just like, this is crazy. But it took the fear of the testicular cancer to get my ass to the hospital for him to tell me, this is what the condition you have. And so I reached out to a buddy of mine. We were talking about it, and he's been living with this for 15 years now. Yeah, it's a condition that may never go away. But he said it's more common than people think for men to have, but men don't talk about it because we don't talk about our health and we don't talk about our, but sperm to cell is what the engorgement and the inflaming of the tube where your sperm comes out. That's what that's called. And then the cyst is just something different. It's another condition. And ways to really treat it is to change your underwear to something more compact and something that kind of keeps everything from creating irritation on for you and all these different things. But needless to say, I started having sex again, and I started feeling better.
It's a health issue at that point.
It's a health issue at that point.
Yeah.
It's like,
so I called and I was like, "Who'd you call?" He's like, "My friend." I was like, "Oh, sorry." I just assumed your first call out of there would have been like, "Hey, what's up? You up?
What you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You up? What you doing? It was an ongoing joke with the person I was having sex with that she healed me. Legitimately, it was an ongoing joke because it literally the pain went away. I think the system time went away, but I would say the craziest part of the whole process was I had to go get x-rays done And so there's this random chick who, first of all, she was cute. And all I'm thinking of is I have a towel across my stomach, my balls are out, and she's like, okay, push your legs together. So it's just a sack just sitting on top of my legs.
Like at that point, you're like, why is the towel here?
Here.
Like,
But it's just
the stomach,
sack.
like my D'Angelo muscles. I worked on these. Don't. Why?
You don't want to see anything else. Just the
day.
very unattractive part that no one likes to see. Just those two wrinkled fuckers. That's it. And then so then she's like,
to be fair,
yeah.
it was like 2.5 at that point.
But and then it's like it's cold, and so they were like, I was like, no guys, go out, spread out, no fly,
Get away from
something. Get away from me. It's not that cold in here. I'm in Bali. So then, of course, she's cute or whatever the case may be. So then she's like, okay, this is gonna be a little cold at first. And of course, it's the same thing they put on Miss Bellies for X-rays or whatever the case. So now she's got the ultrasound thing, and so she's like, so what do you do for work? And I'm like, is this really what?
You don't have to talk to me at this particular point. We could wait until it's moved down a few inches. Some inches, like we could just give it.
But I was like, she was Latin. I was like, I'm an actor. I've done a couple of things, and she's like, no way, like you look at that Black Panther guy, you know. I was like, is it him? I was like, is that Black Panther? And I was like, it can't be if you just move the towel, and I will show you all the Wakanda you want. What Wakanda man do you need? I don't just
I was wondering when it would go off the rails. And there, ladies and gentlemen.
So that's my testicular cancer story.
I don't know of a better way to wrap this up. John, if you've got a cap to put on this pin, then feel free.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, as we've all discussed, is you have fears, face it on. Look at it.
Yeah.
Be aware of what the fear is bringing up and address it however you need to address it. I think it's just a reminder, and it's helped me a lot. Fear, the acronym, false emotions appearing real. Until you look at it and make it something real, it's just going to be false emotions. But even if it is something real, then address it when you realize it's real. But if it's not, because that's the worst part. Like you were saying when Brandon said, don't go on WebMD. Our mind, just as much as that website, makes us go to the worst option it could potentially be. We think like, oh, it's this is cancer. Oh, I'm dying tomorrow. When in reality, it's like, well, thank God it's not cancer. But even if it was, okay, there's solutions that we could possibly put in.
Right.
But our mind doesn't go there. Our mind immediately goes into fear and scarcity of like, this is it. This is the thing that's going to take me out. When reality is like, no, what are my next steps? What do I need to look at? What do I need to address? So as we all talked about this in different examples, is the thing that helps us get through it is addressing it and connecting with close friends or like family, or whether it be therapy, whatever it is, someone, talk it out, talk what's coming out, talk about the emotions. Don't let it sit inside, because who knows if it can make things worse.
Absolutely. Oh, fuck. All right, y'all. Hold them up.
Well, I will leave you with this. So men, you keep it up. Men, if you check your
mid-level, everybody.
Yeah, mid-level. If you decide to check your boys to see if you may have something going on, a sign that it is cancer is there will be no pain, but you will have it will be a rock hard mass. But if you have pain, if there's something that if it's not rock hard, still go see your doctor. You probably don't have cancer, but still go see your doctor to see what it is. But the doctor told me the number one thing about a tumor is you don't feel pain. You don't feel it there, but you can feel the mass. If you search for it, you can feel the mass or whatever's forming. And that's the indicator. That's when you say, I need to go see the doctor. Don't wait until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The second you feel something abnormal, do it in the shower, a hot shower, let the boys drop, do it there. Because we want to save some lives if we can, because they said a lot of men come in and it's too late because they're afraid of the doctor and they're afraid of approaching and looking at something that is wrong with them. And that in itself, when fear stops you from going to get the help you need, that's a problem.
Mhm.
With regards to this, we should do something at the half November mark. We should do a little, like, just bring something
Like a live
some
ball
awareness,
check.
like
We
what we're
should do
doing.
it live?
Definitely, just an on-camera check. I don't
On-camera
know
check?
what we're gonna.
I think
How
that would be
we're gonna
great.
do it.
Set
Bring
it
it
up
up.
in the shower and then
I'm
just
pretty
like
sure I got
let.
some filters and some like
I
plugins.
think that'd be
We can make it.
It's-
It's gonna be fine.
OnlyFans / the
Yes.
Refinery. We got to make a little.
Cameo / OnlyFans / YouTube.com. Cheers! I love you guys. Have a beautiful night.
Good. Love you guys.
So much for being who you are and for sharing that. This is the fucking best. This is a very good beer. You should get it if you like beer.
Send me the name of it because I want to get it.
I got you. I'll
There's a
shoot
photo
you
of
a text
that.
right now. And then I will sign off for the night because I'll pass out as soon as this thing starts downloading. Jeopardy's been on. It's time to go to bed.
Oh,
It's time to go to bed.
understandable.
All right. Love y'all.
Love you guys.
Talk soon.